Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I am Sister Rasheedah Muhammad. I am your host. Welcome back to another episode of the Science of Farming. I'm so excited to have you all with us today. Our other host, Sister Melody Muhammad, she is not able to join us today. She is actually participating in an agricultural training today, but she's not here physically, but she will be here within earshot of the program today. We have a wonderful show scheduled for today. We have with us a special guest, and it's from the group called Camp YG. That's Camp YG. The Y stands for young, and the G stands for gods. So here are just a few pictures from the camp. They are a new camp, and I'm so excited to feature this camp and this the member that's here joining us today from this group, because in their curriculum they actually had an agricultural component to their curriculum, and I'm so excited to hear about it and to share the information with you all about it. And in addition to letting us know about Camp YG, what it was about, how it kind of came about, just some interesting facts about it, and talk about some other aspects of their curriculum as well, in case you want to produce the same thing in your city or in your community. So today, to join us, we have Brother Wes. Brother
Assalamu alaikum.
Wes, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Welcome,
salam.
welcome. We are very excited to have you a part of the show. And we know that there are other members of Camp YG as well. But thank you so much for taking your time out. This show is a 30-minute show, so it goes very, very fast. But please tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the camp.
Yes, ma'am. Well, assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa
My name is Brother West X. I'm originally from Melbourne, Florida, and I now reside in Tampa, Florida. Um, I I went to school at USF and received my master's degree there. And I am currently now a middle school teacher teaching sixth, seventh, and eighth grade health science. And I'm just so excited to be on the show. I was just telling Sister Rasheedah a couple of weeks ago how much I enjoy this show, and now I made it on it. So all praises due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. We're very excited to have you. And Brother West, I'm receiving a text, so let me respond
Yes, ma'am.
very quickly. About the camp and what goes on in the camp. Were you a part of establishing the curriculum for the camp?
So I well, part of the curriculum, yes, ma'am. So my role was working with this students with in engineering as well as etiquette. So in that aspect, I was, but it was, it was a lot of hands that played a part, because there was many different subject matters that we wanted to touch on, from, agriculture that we're going to talk about today, to self-development, to knowledge of self, to etiquette, and, a lot, and, spiritual aspects and other things like that, that our youth are not normally exposed to. So it was, it was many hands that came together. But yes, ma'am, I did have a hand in it.
Yes, and we're taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that the women train the girls and the boy or the men train the boys. Is that how the camp was set up?
Absolutely. And, and we were talking about this, as an educator, you and getting to see both sides, you see the importance of having that separation. And so when I would be working with the boys on engineering or on etiquette, Sister Imani and the other sisters would take the sisters to a separate room, and I would work with them, because we understand that boys and girls, they learn differently, right?
Right.
And so that's how we have it set up in the nation, to have boys and girls separately, to remove distractions and allow them to be themselves, without those disturbances or distractions. So we had the boys, I would work with them separately, And we had a great time. They were able to let out their energy when I would be speaking. They showed the utmost respect. But you could, as boys are, you can tell when they get a little antsy sometimes. So we would get up, we would move, we would drill, which is something that they thoroughly enjoyed. They enjoyed the drilling. Just the nature of wanting to compete. So we have absolutely, we had that separation, and it definitely the difference definitely shows, especially me getting to see both sides.
Praise be to Allah. Now, what were the age groups for this camp? Do you recall the starting age? Because the pictures are absolutely splendid. I love the variation in the age group. So, what did the camp cover as far as age?
Yes, ma'am. So the age ranges, I believe, was between, it was either 5 or 6, one of those, but we went all the way up to 14 years old. And that, even with such a large range of ages, all of the activities that we had was something that all those ages could enjoy. And one of the things that we encouraged and we loved seeing was the older ones, being an example and helping the younger ones. So with those age ranges, we were able to incorporate an aspect of every subject for all age ranges. So it was a good time.
Yes, sir. And speaking of those subjects, I was sharing with you that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you could teach anyone, you could have a school under a tree.
That's right.
So that's so amazing that you all came together as educators. Now, this is educators in the Tampa area. Give me a little bit more specific about where the educators came from.
Yes, ma'am. So myself, I'm a teacher in Hillsborough County here in Tampa, Florida. I know our student minister here at Muhammad Mosque 47, student minister Chad Muhammad, is also an educator here. As a matter of fact, the school that we utilized for the camp was the school where he currently works at. And um, it was such a blessing because you got, not only were we able to put this camp together, but in the process of putting it together, we got to see how powerful, our faith and our unity is, because it took many minds to come together, to work it out, to work out the kinks and figure out how we were going to make this happen. And by Allah's grace, because I believe Allah willed this to happen because He wants us to be able to educate our children. And so, with us coming together, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. And so we got to see the truth in that when we came together and made the camp happen. And it so happened that the school was available, and we got the whole school to ourselves basically for the duration of the camp. So that was a blessing.
Yeah, that is a blessing. And speaking of Sister Imani, and I hope I heard this correctly, but it was actually one of the brainchild of Sister Imani to bring the youth together during the summer to keep them from having to be home or be in another school environment where they really weren't learning anything, which is what I love about what I've heard about Camp YG. And of course, I'm at Miles 47. So I saw you all kind of, and of course, my son participated. I was blessed enough, we were blessed enough to be able to have him participate in Camp YG
Mhm.
also. But I was speaking with you earlier because I really enjoyed the hands-on feature of Camp YG. I thought that was just so amazing because that's how our children learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, Sister Imani was, such a vital part in, starting this and bringing us all together, to get this started. And throughout the entire camp, she was working, you know, you know, on the scene, and she was working behind the scenes to make sure that everything was flowing right. And sis, one of the things that we had to bust up in the minds of our youth was that the summertime was a time for you to just sit at home, play video games,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
so that was one of the things that at the beginning you had some reluctancy, because they're like, we don't do this in the summer. We stay at home and we play video games. And so we had to bust that up. And one of the ways that we did that was with what you said, being hands on, keeping them active, doing things that didn't require them to just sit behind a desk, right? Because they're going to do that in the fall and spring anyway. So we wanted to make it more hands on. And we did that with, different aspects and different, subjects that we touched on, whether it was engineering, having them build things, build bridges, build makeshift cars, build rockets, and also, competing with that, making it fun in that manner. Um, like I said, the boys, they enjoy drilling, and because we're taught that the black man is militant, by
Hmm.
nature. So bringing
Right.
that out of them, that was something they thoroughly enjoyed. And you know, the agriculture aspect, which we're going to talk about, is something that they enjoyed more than more than we could have imagined. And
Yes, sir.
it was such a beautiful thing because whenever we would take a break,
Hmm.
they would run outside to see what plant how how their plants were developing. And so what that tells me is that if we expose our youth to these things, right, then it will draw in their interest, right? You
Right.
never know what your child is interested in, or could be interested in if you never expose them. You don't know if your child could have been a doctor if they're never exposed to medicine. You don't know if your child could have been an engineer if they were never exposed to engineering. You don't know if your child could have a farm one day and help to feed people, feed their community if you never expose them to the vital aspect of any nation, which is agriculture and farming, right? So the
Right.
most Elijah Muhammad, when he set up his economic blueprint, he said with the first $1 million, he want he wanted the nation to set up farming because food is a vital part in this, it is a necessary aspect of any nation, right? So seeing the youth excited about agriculture, and for them, it's teaching them so many things. It's teaching them patience, right? Because now the plant doesn't grow overnight, right? But they're going they're going out every day to check on it. They're wanting to water, making sure it's getting enough sunlight, right? It's teaching them how to nurture and care for things, right? Because you have to nurture and care for the plant, right? Or it will die. Um, so it was great seeing how excited they were being exposed to that.
Praise be to Allah. And the beautiful thing also about this is that there were believers children in the nation and from the community, right? It was a mixed bag.
That's right. That's right. Yes, ma'am. So we had many students from some of them actually attended the school where we were at. A lot of them out of the community, friends and supporters, and of course we had youth from from the mosque as well. So we had a mixed bag, but you know but with all of them coming together, we don't make any distinction with our youth because we know all of them need that education. Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan tells us that one of the greatest or the worst things that the enemy did to us was robbing us of the knowledge of self and robbing us of the ability to get an education. And we don't have the knowledge of our rich history, right?
Right.
So Sister Yatira would teach the children about knowledge of self, and not just about, oh, we were slaves, teaching them that the black man and woman are the root of civilization,
Right.
that we
Right.
are the first, right? And that you're not black because you're cursed, right? You're black because you're first, because you are direct descendants of God. And so when they're hearing that language, and even at the beginning, with the affirmations that they would start the day with, I am kind, I'm caring, and the last thing that they say, that I am a young God, which is the unity.
Beautiful.
So all praise due to Allah, because our youth need that. Because when they go back, some of them, they go back to school, the public schools, and they're in a Eurocentric education that could never um, bring them to the potential that God would bless them
Right.
to wants them to to be. So in that short time with the camp, they were exposed to you know to that knowledge.
Mm.
Inshallah, we're going to continue to to work with them throughout the fall and spring semester, meet up with them and help them however we can until you know Muhammad's Academy becomes a school,
Yes,
And
sir. Yes,
by Allah's
sir.
grace.
Yes, sir. And actually, we do have a few pictures that we're just going to share. And we're going to go through these pictures because I thought there were some awesome pictures from the camp.
Yes.
And again, that's the camp kind of showing the different classrooms there. And there in the red and black, right in the center, is Sister Imani and some of the other teachers. You have Sister Yatiria. I see Sister Sade there as well. And
Mm-hmm.
these are some of the students.
Yeah.
And the other pictures. And these are some of the children. And that's, if you back up to that previous picture, that's the children planting. Back up to the
Mm-hmm.
previous picture showing the children. That's where
Mm-hmm.
they're starting to plant the items there. And I was so excited because, Brother West, you had mentioned um, building actually. And so it will be very exciting next year if you all incorporate in what you're doing, actually building a raised bed, a
Mm.
raised, yeah, for the garden. So
Okay.
that, because it's very, very easy to do at Home Depot. And I'm willing to even join that
Yeah, I was
class.
gonna say that's why we need your expertise, Sister Rashida, to come through.
Yes, sir, to help you all get through that process. But I'm so
Absolutely.
excited to see them outside. And can we look at the next picture? Great. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I am so excited at what I'm seeing here.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Amazing.
And also, yes, like you were talking about, even a follow-up program where they get to see these plants actually grow through. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you all, because if they can start early enough in getting some young plants already, and then they can actually by the end of the program take them to a market and actually sell them or trade among each other, because
Right,
that's the other thing that
right,
we want to be able to do. We want to be able to grow the food. And this is what we talk about on this program quite
right,
frequently. Grow the food in your community and
mm,
trade among yourselves. So
right,
somebody is growing peaches, somebody else is growing oranges, somebody else is growing tomatoes, and then we share with each other. And
right,
that's how you do that, because farming, agriculture can be quite overwhelming if it's just one or two people. But if
right.
you're doing it as a community, it's so much easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sister Rashida, all we want to do, we want to pique their interest. You know, if you can pique their interest, then you draw them into it, and then they'll just want to learn more. You know,
Right. That's
so
so true.
that was our goal. We didn't, by God's grace, we didn't do much but expose them to it.
Right.
So if we are
Yeah.
exposing our youth to these things, right, then they will see the realm of possibility of different things that they want to that they can do, right? Because
Right.
being among our children, a lot of them want to be the examples of what they see, the ball player, right?
Yes.
Or the rapper, right?
Right.
But the reality is all of them can't be that,
Right.
right? And as we're trying to build a nation, we have to have you know people in all different aspects of society. We need lawyers, we need doctors, we
Right.
need engineers, we need agriculturists, we need all these things, right? So our goal is to expose them to that, but
Right.
to expose them to that with the knowledge of self, right?
Absolutely.
Because the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan says that knowledge with the absence of character makes a devil.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
we are trying to raise our youth with character, with morals, right? So that if they are successful, then they won't do certain things for money.
Right.
They
Right.
won't they won't sell out their people, but with those characters and those morals set in stone, right? When they are successful, they will look at their people and say, "What can I do for my people?" So
Absolutely.
the young boys and young girls that we were working with, that's the type of mindset that Camp YG was looking to instill in them, right?
Right.
So when we have doctors and lawyers and uh you know agriculturists and engineers, biomedical engineers and chemical engineers, they're gonna come together and say, wait a minute, God gave me this, bless me to get where I am. Now I need to, use this to serve my people.
Right. And thank goodness we do have our other participant tapping in with us. So we are now going to introduce and present Sister Yatira. Sister Yatira, yay! You made it.
Praise
Assalamu
to
alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How
We
are you
know
all
that
doing
you
today?
are super, super busy, so we are so excited to have you join us. How are
Praise
you?
be to Allah. I am blessed by Allah's grace. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Praise be
Yes,
to Allah.
ma'am. So,
Please
Brother
again.
West
Yes.
was doing a fabulous job on talking to us about Camp YG, um, and the building aspect of Camp YG and the agriculture, and covering so much information. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Sister Yatira, and how you got involved with Camp YG.
Wow. Well, praise be to Allah. I am your sister, and I don't even know what to say about myself. I'm a servant. I'm a wife. I'm a mother, um, and I'm a soldier. And
Yes.
how I got involved with Camp YG, well, Sister Imani and I, um, she used to come over my house often to help me with homeschooling, so we had Kamalia at 8 years old starting a school last year, and then we had Fahima, who was 3 at the time, starting a school, and they both needed attention, and so my husband running businesses and out in the field a lot, it was a lot for me with 2 additional children younger than the girls, right? So Sister Imani came into the home, helped out with Kamalia, and from our being together, having discussions and talking about, the need for us to have our own schools, and trying to figure out and entertaining the idea of establishing one here, uh, Camp YG came to birth. We were just discussing things that we could be doing to implement to get some of the children that were at the mosque into my home to start a school, and then that just grew to we need to have more things for the community as well, and preparing for the time that we're living in now, and all of these different things. So when uh, basically that was the start. So we moved out. We started. She took care of the admin behind the scenes, setting up things, the paperwork, and the I guess you would call it the legal side of things. And together we just reached out and looked for the like minds who was willing to, partner for a noble cause, and everything just fell into everything just fell into place. Allah started working in ways that we just didn't even you know, really consider it. He just was like, "Oh, you guys need a building? Here's a school.
Right.
Here's the key to a school." And it's like, "Oh, okay, y'all." So we just kept moving in that way, and so that was the beginnings. And there's all we know is there's much more to come, from that. So praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah is right. And it's so true. When we make one step, Allah makes two.
That's
He
right.
is waiting to give it to us. It belongs to us. He came here to give it to us. So all we have to do is just walk in it and be obedient to Him. So I'm very excited to have you. I'm very, very excited about the agricultural aspect of that YG camp. I thought that was a fabulous idea to add that piece into the camp and introduce the young, because that's what this show is about. Our Science of Farming show is about, like I was sharing with Brother West, letting everyone know anyone can do this. I don't know if you all remember that movie Ratatouille. Anyone can cook. Well, that's
Yes.
that's how we feel. Anyone can grow, but you do have to just possibly grow one thing at a time, or start your compost pile. But you can do it. Talk to me a little bit about that agricultural piece. Do you recall what you all were actually planting?
So the pictures that you all had showed, those were sunflowers that we
Good.
planted, and we are over the course of the summer and into the school year. We're working with a community called Healthy 22nd, and we didn't even know about this. And it just goes to show how the power of opening our mouths. Like, something that
Mhm.
we talk about a lot is ask. This
Right.
is what the scripture tells us: to ask and we shall receive. So we had come into the knowledge that there was a sister that had a garden in her backyard, and so I just had the thought, well, let me just ask her to see what would she be willing to offer or share to to our students. And from that came just the kaboom. She was the plug for
Mhm.
the connection to Healthy 22nd, which I had never heard of it. I didn't even know there was a community garden on 22nd Street.
Right.
So right, so that connection there, and I spoke to the brother there, and he's working on the plan for us to be able to establish the community garden for the children to be able to grow these different crops. And the idea behind that, was we're teaching them the importance of eating the right things. This
Right.
was part of the curriculum, and to really get into the control of that now is, well, you can go to the store and you can look at ingredients and things like that, but how much better is it if you are in control from the root, from the seed?
Absolutely.
And
That's right.
so from there, and I think Brother West mentioned, like, piquing their interest.
Right.
That's it. That's all it really takes is for them to see themselves in all of these different aspects, and with agriculture being a huge one, because that's what they're made up of, and so for them
Absolutely.
to see those things. So yes, I hope I've answered your question. It's absolutely
You
beautiful.
sure did. And I actually recall having a conversation a couple of weeks ago with Sister Imani, and she tapped into that community garden information. And I told her, plug me in. I'll be right there, whatever I can do to assist. I'm happy. I'm just so excited to be a part of this. And we're coming close to the end of our program. But I wanted to ask Brother West, um, I know you have information, because I can imagine this is just so enlightening and so electric. I'm sure other cities want to start this type of program. So, how can they reach out to you all to find out how do we get started? What did you have to do so they can duplicate this process?
Yes, ma'am. So they can contact us at Mohammed's.academy@gmail.com. That's Mohammed's plural dot academy at gmail.com.
Very good. And can you spell that out? The Muhammad's.
Yes, ma'am. So that's spelled MUHAMMADS .academy@gmail.com.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you all so very much. Do we have any questions in our queue or our chat? What I would like to know, I do have a question. Will you all be doing this again next year?
That is absolutely the goal. That's absolutely the goal, and be on the lookout for a full on school soon, because that is
Very good.
ultimately the goal.
Very good. And we're going to share all of that information right here on our show. Now, do you all have anything else you'd like to add before we close out this show today?
If anyone wants to do something like this, listen, all it takes is a few like-minded believers to come together with a vision. And I'm telling you, Allah will bless you, because He wills for us to teach our own children so we can, teach them out of, the white supremacy, foundation that's in these schools. So Allah will bless you. Just come together and you can do it.
Praise be to Allah. That's what we do. Encourage and connect on this show, and you too can grow. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all so much for participating.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved.
Alaikum
Thank
salam.
you.